Blink Twice. Wow. Zoe Kravitz knocked this out of the park. Zoe Kravitz has a writer's credit on this movie. Now, it's nothing it's nothing groundbreaking. The premise behind Blink Twice is the same premise of Black Christmas. Okay? I mean Black Christmas the remake that came out about maybe 10 years ago. It's about men and women power dynamics. Men wanting to continue their dominance of over women, women finding the resolve within themselves to fight back. So it's patriarchy versus matriarchy. Okay, it's a tale as old as time, men versus women. So nothing groundbreaking here as far as the premise, but the story behind it, how we get to the premise, or the and then the execution of it. Zoe Zoe is going to be a big fucking deal as a director in Hollywood. Wow, where do I begin? So many things to break down. This movie explains everything about sex beta kittens in full detail. I'm more than sure Zoe was one of these characters that went through this in this movie. You can't convince me otherwise. She just this shit didn't just pop. You know what I'm saying? Like she's like, I'm gonna write what I went through and just hide it under one of these characters. Now, whether it was the main character, oh, what's the black one? I forget her name, or the tough chick. So you had these different paradigms of women, right? You had the black woman that was looking for a new life validation. You had the one alpha female. She was a survivor of a TV show for like 20 years, right? And then you had a weed head female, blonde weed head, and then you had like she I want to say she was a Latina per se. Had a very strong face, very strong features, very like you look at her, you be like, oh, okay. She was like, I don't know, a hanger on. She hung with the weed girl, right? And then you had the one woman in Gina Davis that actually was helping the men wrangle. She was the wrangler. She would wrangle these women up. And then you had the old lady that worked the island and saw what these men would do to the women. There's so many things, man. This is not going to be a short breakdown. These women would get sexually assaulted, tortured every day, and then their minds would be wiped. Their memories would be erased from this. They grew the flowers on the island called Desideria, right? So the perfume was made from these flowers that naturally grew on the island. And so Channing Tatum is like an Epstein. And then he went away for a year, came back, and he met the black girl before prior, which you didn't realize until the towards the end. But if you saw a couple cues, she had a scar on the side of her head. This is a deep fucking movie. All right, okay. Her and her friend go off. He invites them to the island. Of course, he got all his island buddies. Specific, one guy's little fat guy played by the kid from the Sixth Sense. I mean, he's a grown man now. You had some one young kid, young tech kid who's green, who's not into none of that stuff. You had the doctor, and then you had two other guys, Christian Slater and the chef. The chef is the boyfriend of the strong alpha woman. So throughout the first and second act, he kept calling her babe, and she's like, "Don't call me babe, don't call me babe." I'm like, why does she like him calling her babe? Which it gets breaking down towards the end. Um, they get to the island, party, hang out, whatever the case may be. Clothes are laid out. There's a perfume bottle and on the dresser, she uses it. Oh, she's oh, it's a nice scent. Blah 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 blah. And he knows when she's wearing this scent because he's oh that smells nice. Oh yeah, it's the perfume, Desideria. I haven't gone to the backstory of the Desideria, but it's grown from a natural plant on the island. So after I don't know how long they were there for about a week. So all they would do is party, smoke, drink during the day, and then at night they would have this hangover, right? So each day the women would become weaker and weaker. The men every morning they will all meet for breakfast. So the first couple of days the girls are cool because they can, the body hasn't been broken down yet. As the days progress, the longer that they're at the island, they get weaker and weaker, more lethargic, and the men are just like, "Hey, sun surfs up. I'm good. You're good." And then you will see bruises. One guy had a black eye. The young kid had a black eye. The alpha girl had a bruise on her arm, right? And so all these little signs, and then the old Mexican housekeeper kept calling the black woman Red Rabbit, Red Rabbit. She didn't understand why she kept calling her Red Rabbit. It's just so much to unpack in this movie, y'all. I'm not doing this breakdown any real justice. So her friend, the black girl's friend, gets bitten by a snake. There's a bunch of boas that are native to the area, and what the old Mexican lady does, part of her job is as far as housekeeper is to go around killing the snakes. She goes around kills these. It's the yellow boas, right? So after one party, her best friend gets bit in the hand. The snake venom is a natural antidote to the perfume. So the friend starts to remember shit that happened to her. Then all of a sudden she disappears. There's cutscenes, the girl giving her a knife, telling her to hide this. I remember what happened to me, blah, blah, blah. Black girl looks at, she has dirt under her fingernail. She couldn't understand where the dirt came from. So black girl gets curious, starts, sneaking off and looking for shit. She stumbles into the housekeeper's shed and she runs to the housekeeper. Her housekeeper keeps calling her Red Rabbit, Red Rabbit. And then she sees the dead snakes, but she thinks it's alcohol. She gives her a shot of the alcohol. Well, she thinks it's alcohol. It's the actual snake venom. So she ingests the snake venom and actually starts to flush out the mind control perfume that's in her system. Their nose starts to bleed. That's when you know that it's starting to work. So once their nose starts to bleed, then the memories come back. So then she remembers a little bit this, a little bit of that, and then she convinces the alpha chick to take it because the alpha chick is like, I don't know. I feel great, but then I feel like there's something wrong. I don't know where this bruise come from. And she's like, you're telling me that something's going on, but I don't know what it is. And so throughout the whole movie, they kept saying, to forget is a gift. To forget is a gift. A lot of these women learn to compartmentalize the sexual abuse and trauma they go through in Hollywood. This is how they're able to detach from you when having sex. When it's time for them to do what they got to do, they can compartmentalize, detach, and you just banging the body, and her mind is elsewhere. And then once the deed is done, whatever tips and tricks they use to bring her back into focus, bring her back to the altar, then it's like nothing ever happened. They may remember bits and pieces, but it's sketchy. Total breakdown of how they break down these women through the drugs, chemicals, trauma. What's his name? Channing Tatum's character had past trauma. He was abused by his tennis coach, which he compartmentalized the memories. His sister was like, don't you remember what the tennis coach used to do to us? And he was like, I don't remember. Why don't I remember? So the whole theme of this, to forget is a gift. This is why a lot of women don't want to go through the psychosis, the therapy to dredge up those old repressed memories of what they did to get in to be successful. Okay. So black girl, alpha girl have a party. They keep faking it, for the guys, because the guys are none the wiser. They're like, hey, let's get them to drink this. It's a tequila party, and they're all drinking the snake venom. And they one by one, nose starts to bleed, and they all kind of the rest of them get their memories back. So once they get their memories back, it's It's on. It's man versus woman, fight to the death. The blonde weed head chick stabs Haley Joel Osment in the neck with a nice pick, stabs him in the neck. She gets shot in the head by Channing's security guard, or his personal security guy, Sam. Alpha chick stabs her boo in the hand with a corkscrew, right? Because she remembers her torture. So every night, so when they would show them running, there's this scene where every night they're always doing these weird things across the yard. They're either running or playing and moving, all these crazy movements. So then they flash back. They're being chased by the men. That's why they're always running every night in all white. So every guy picks a girl to abuse in whatever sexual depraved way however they want to see fit. The only person that didn't touch the women was the young tech kid, the crypto kid. Why he ended up with a black eye, but towards the end they're like, well, what did you do? He said, I didn't do anything to none of them, which is why none of the girls attacked him. When they all their memories came back, they all went after their abuser. So blonde haired girl gets killed after she kills her attacker. Alpha girl stabs her boyfriend, the chef. He runs off. And then Sam chases after the alpha girl. Black girl did she get tied up by Channing? And then she remembers what happens to her. Because, you know, they're standing over her and they're like, the doctor comes and says, so they're not going to remember anything? He says, nah, they're not going to remember anything. Like, they'll be good in the morning. Like, nothing ever happened. And the doctor's like, wow, that's pretty cool. He's like, yeah, right? So she remembers how they killed her friend. They snapped her neck when they realized her friend memories came back. He said, oh, she'll remember everything. Snapped her neck, right? The memories came back in spurts here and there. But after the more poison they ingest, the more memories come back. So then it's a straight up fight, like fight to the death. This is where it gets Black Christmas, basically the men versus the women for survival. So then Sam chases after the black girl, catches up to the black girl, about to shoot her in the back of the head. The alpha girl comes and hits him in the head with a rock, bashes his head in. The one girl, Catalina, the very striking green-eyed, poofy-haired Latina, she hits Christian Slater over the head with a ceramic chessboard, crushes his lower jaw, doesn't kill him. So then, after they kill Sam, they run back to the house to finish off Channing Tatum's character. Channing gets all the rest of the guys that's left, the tech guy, Christian Slater, they back into the house to kind of fortify their positions and wait for the girls to show up. Black girl and alpha girl show up. Alpha girl shoots the young tech guy in the head through the door. Channing holds the black girl hostage, and he's got Catalina hostage. He places his foot on the throat of Catalina, and he chokes her out with his foot, so she's dead. Black girl tied up. He goes out to chase down the alpha girl, brings her back to the house. So Channing's about to slice the throat of the alpha girl. Then he stops. Black girl switched out his vape pen and put the Desideria perfume in his vape. So his memories start to come back. So then he remembers what happened to him and all the things he did. And a fight ensues. He falls and hits his head. He knocks over some candles. The place catches on fire. Of course, Christian Slater's laid up on the couch. He can't move because his face is crushed in. His jaw's crushed in. So alpha black girl drag Channing's body out of the burning building. Mexican lady's happy watching this all go down because she's like, finally, no more torture. Black girl's memories. She now remembers why the Mexican lady called her Red Rabbit. She found some pictures. She found herself in one of these old pictures from a year prior. They brought this woman back a year later to torture her. So during Channing Tatum's confession, he was like, I'm not going to kill you. You're my best pal. Like you giving us so much excitement. Like you're one of the best players here. Okay. She had red rabbit and fingernails in the picture that she discovered of herself a year prior, which is how the old woman recognized her. So they bring these women back every year to torture them. All these women were already pre-selected, random ass women, and these guys got next to them because they were so eager to be next to a mover and shaker like, Channing's character. Rabbit. Okay, so they drag him out. So then Alpha Girl's like, "Hey, you doing the right thing?" She's like, "Yeah." So then place burns down. What the black woman ended up doing, she rewired his memories because she keeps him on the vape pen because all he did was the whole movie was this vape. He's a vape addict. She keeps putting his vape pen with the flower juice, right? The perfume, whatever, the juice from the Desideria flower. She's his wife. She's his wife. She married him and became the CEO of his $1 billion tech company. They're at a function, and the speaker's like, "I want to thank Mrs. King, something, something, something." And the black woman raises her glass, and everyone's clapping for her. Before then, Channing's character meets the doctor that came to the doctor before, right? He used to come to them for them. Say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about that thing we were talking about." And he's like, and she's like, "No, he'll be busy. He'll be in Beijing." Well, she says, "I'll be in Beijing." Right? He's a vegan. So at the luncheon, they're all eating steak, and she's like, "Eat your steak." So the victim becomes the abuser. She gave him the gift of forgetting. That's the whole theme throughout this movie. How to forget and compartmentalize your trauma. Zoe told way too much in this movie, y'all. Way too much. Way too much. Zoe told way too much in this movie. Yeah, Red Rabbit was the fingernail because she does these fingernails with these animals. She puts animals on her fingernails, and that's how the old lady recognized her when she came back to the island, which was her first time. But she didn't know because her memory kept getting wiped from the prior events, and that's how the old woman referred to her as the Red Rabbit. So during her memories, when she was Red Rabbit, Channing was holding her by her gown. She's trying to get away. She dug her nails into the ground trying to get away to get traction. He let her go. She falls and hits her head on a rock, which is how she got the scar on her temple, which you see in the very first 10 minutes of the movie. She's doing her makeup because she works as a waitress for a caterer, and you see this scar on the side of her head. That's how she got the scar. They replay what happened to her. And so he ties her up and then does this thing with her while she's bleeding out the side of her head. And so then he realized that she wasn't wearing the perfume because he's like, you smell different. That's how he knew she was not under the control. Way too much information in this movie, y'all. Way deep. Shout out to Zoe. Zoe, fuck around, gonna be like Kubrick if she don't chill with this shit. Zoe gonna fuck around, end up like Stanley Kubrick. Hey, sis, chill. So I implore any and everybody to go see it. If you want to know how they break these women down, even the men too, but this is how they get them to compartmentalize their trauma. This is why these women can have sex with 10 men and be like, I wasn't even there. I wasn't even cognizant of what my body was doing. I was in an altered place. Understand? So definitely Zoe was telling on herself and her experiences and others as well. So okay, that is my breakdown of Blink Twice. So shout out to Zoe, man. Shout out to Zoe because Lord knows she's earned it. She's earned it. Did I miss anything, y'all? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Once again, premise is not nothing you haven't seen before. Man versus woman for survival. The men want to keep their foot on the women's necks and do whatever they want to them, treat them as second class citizens, just use them for body, for pleasure. And the women want to find their voice and fight back. Okay, because there's one part when Alpha says this speech about women should be supporting and not competing against each other. You know, that was a pretty poignant speech he made. But yeah, man, yeah.